그거 고대.
그건 나답니다.
이미 싸움하게 되더라. 대차 안에 정말 뭐 싸움을 좀 드시기요. 근데 일단 아주 이제 지난 대주지 싸워지는 지금 자님이만 도와시고 있나 소다 조조 도 디셔나 말아 소소로니 샘더시피 쇼들라 칼리되고 요래. 근데 같이 시에 넣는 소소 넣는 소소 길라 넣는 답토와이나 소소랑 길라디 근데 샤바타 향지도 셔르블 소가 시기도 셰디 돈도 소소랑 길라 넣는 답토와이나 소소랑 길라 와레스. 이나 말은 성미 길라 지금 향지 정치 삼로서 사원 아주 성미 길라 요래. 아주 길라 샘 먹이와 공부동 또 정당 셔동도 등글러서 사원대 이후에 대자다 아주 직당 아주 샘의 상사로 주 상사티가 막 사원도 가르다 그랬는데 소소름도 나와요. 그래서 성기랑 성지 좀 된다는 거랑 이런 이런 게 다야 있는 세서 뜻을 주로 사원이 야고 따와이나 사원 때라 때는 요 야고 정도 사원 내가 따와이나 때라 때는 요 등을 정도. 그래서 내들도 소소로 받아요. 진짜다. 좋은 아주 샘라이가 된지기 맞대 성명 엔진 도와지니 아니 센터나 요거요래 디가나 아니 양바도 됐지 조금 때랑 됐지 나 진짜 좋은 것도 나지 모토로도 되지
Good morning, welcome. So pleased to have you here. And in particular, I am very happy to see some of you looks new and the new faces. So welcome. I first of all would like to get the permission from you, the advanced practitioners, and those of you been here a long time, and you know the topic, the comments I'm going to make probably more or less, it's nothing new to you, but it's going to be most likely new to those newcomers. So therefore, I would like to take some time and to discuss about the basic or the essential point of Buddhist teaching and the most important key method or the practices of Buddhism. Well, first of all, we say that in Buddhism, if there's anything that's really essential, that is about how to be the master of your own mind. Okay, how to be. To be the master of your own mind, that's the essential point of Buddhist teaching. And so for this purpose, we need to learn and try to understand. Because based on the understanding that our mind is like the field, okay, like the plantation or like the ground, like a field. So it can plant and anything and it can make anything growing. It has both positive and plants growing, or can make it both growing and like negative things and positive things. So it totally really depends on how we practice our mind, how we respond to our mind, how we understand our mind. So the practice is the key. For instance, that we know among all the mental qualities, spiritual qualities, right, and moral, ethical qualities, one of the essential quality that is the kindness and the loving and compassion, right? And so we do have the seeds, essential seeds that have been and planting in our mind, or primordially is there. So the seeds of compassion, loving kindness is there. But right now, and we do not have a power. We do not have a power, or we are not not achieved the point where we can implementing, we can exercise and apply this wonderful quality of kindness, compassion, loving, and all in all the circumstances in all the time. And because we haven't yet achieved that, so we're not having to become the master of our that positive aspect of a mind. So therefore, in order to become the master of the loving kindness, compassion, and wisdom aspect of our mind, we do have to learn, and then we have to implementing those knowledges. And yes, so again, that's mind is like a field, like a ground or plantation that you can plant anything. Like a bodhicitta, the awakening mind. That's ultimately is the the ultimate seed, or it's the ultimate the spiritual tree, if you like. We wanted to plant, we want to make it growing. Unfortunately, when you examine your day-to-day life, you will find that actually there are one other aspect of your mind not entirely virtuous or virtuous and quality, and the spirit has a great quality spiritually, and has great quality in it. For example, like the anger, right, confusions and doubts, and all those, and fear, and all those mental and defilements, the negativities, or that also and is in your mind now. As the matter of fact, in this very moment, and in this generally speaking, so that's your part of your living reality. So therefore, our goal is, like Buddha said, you are your own master, and you are your own enemy. Right? I believe that you have heard that before, those who have been here a long time, and many times actually, and I said this. And the reason I repeated this quotes from Buddha is because it is true that our happiness and our suffering is totally depend upon our own practice, or the way how we practice in our life. If we implement in the Buddhist teaching, and so for example, like a bodhicitta and loving kindness, compassion, and then we will be our own master. Okay, we will be the master of our own life, our own destiny, and our own fortunes. And by contrast, or in contrast, if we do not learning and developing this wonderful spiritual quality, then we will continue to be the slavery of our own negative mind, such as anger, right, jealousy, and hatred, attachment, and so on and so forth. So therefore, in Buddhist teaching, in one word, in Buddhist teaching, that your happiness is your own hands. Your suffering also can be created by your own hands.
딱 링으로 있으면 리세한테 가지나도 yapta 카톨라 소바데 베인다는 아주 무기 통된들이 나서야 네 롱브 드라다 발레데니 숑웨니 드라치지 드라텔레데니 돈 나중 중국으로 다 도피다던 만님비다던 냠비다라 소바데니 뭐 중다 나서요 네 정사된 칸이 되게 지다 발레 중국도 매일 사와데 용사들이 생각당돼요 그런 중원도 당이고네 samlo de shegin samlo tang ibone ked da ne tat chung go du soma shokchi de ten chung go don de yamchi do de mo bu yor som ta ti ma tar do nor do di sona sem se chang 용사 때 자와 때 용사 때 sem chang ta sem te la pa khapar do chi sona sem te la so pe samong bu yor dang rang do so nam je ma long chu ba de sorwa dang de shi de number shwa de sorwa dang de shi yu de mong chu mon de ge go sorwa dang shi mon de ge dang gar zna 리기 차 탐질라 롱 차바 강에 받대라 아니야 소화가 차도 셈 때라 때니 내들이 정보를 장르다 똑바로 공부도 세 참아 소라한테 했던 거 때라 때니 아주 지금 대화 때뒤 내들라 때니 소라한테 착배한 거네 노착이야 소라한테 능을 용어 때라면도 비셔당 끼워서 받아 영 강지 용어 때나 때는 이와데 느시세야 때 너는 아우세 인진지가 줘라 때는 네 마마 기시문 감가지는 망다가다 냠데 때니 소도 네가 기시감가연세 느시디요 오늘 전에 망다 백마로나 때 느시디요 말다 망다 따니 때랑네 소도 큐티 인다지니 다 망다 따니 소도 네 sem나 때 미티기 지까지 냠보시나 나때 네 느시디요 가와티요 망가와시나 느시디요 등을 끼워서 어떤 샘그 소란전 당식 그리고 대체다 대리 몽부도 초배 초발치라다 근데 몽땅이 주바르마도 아니 그런 동원이 때문에 나서야 될 거 같은데 스타트 나서야 될 리로 이거 말이지.
This might even sound a bit harder for those of you, and if you relatively haven't yet been well informed in this topic. And what I'm going to say is that essentially, right, Buddhism always try to understand or look at the things, event from the point of view of the cause, so or the root. So where the root comes from, and if our experience is that always is the two, and primarily one is the happiness or pleasure, and feels good, feels pleasant, and another is feels bad, feels sad, or feels low or down, and our basic tendency or essential tendency and is that we naturally want to be feels good and be happy, want to feel doing well, and so our innate design is desire is want to be happy, and so we always say I want to be happy, or I feel good, I want to feel good, and this is pleasant, I like it. So you always kind of based on something that which you experienced, then you say I, right, or me. It seems that there is a thing so critical and absolute is always there. It means that the center of the existent universe to you. That is I, or you as a person. Okay. Very interesting thing is that here, from Buddhist teaching point of view, that even though we claim or make the claim and based upon or start with or based upon the idea of I or me, but we never really pay attention to this very I or the person that we feel is so essential and is so critical. And because we pay attention to, we claim to be I or to be person, self, so therefore the next immediate response to our proclamation of I is that your sense of attachment to that very I, that very person. In other words, so you're grasping, you're clinging to that very identity, or that sense of who you are, or I. And here in Buddhism called the grasping at self of a person, the grasping at self of a person. And so we are, in other words, is constantly live with or under the influence of this grasping at the self of a person, and based upon the misperception of ourself. And but if when you study Buddhism, and after you began to study Buddhism and began to questioning and your very sense of identity and you as a person, or what do you really mean by I, or claim something as me, and when you do that critical and careful examination, you will find that so-called I or you as a person, essentially, been designated based upon your physical body. And then the second element of that very basis of the acclamation or the proclamation is your verbal application or the capacity of expression of speech, right, and talking. And then third is the mind or the consciousness, experience of internal life, your mental life. So body, speech, and mind, those are the three things, and is the basis of your own self. Okay? And because of these three elements, and then you make the proclamation, or you claim, or you state that that's you, or something is you, something about yourself. And so Buddhism is not stopped there, and Buddhism wants you not just claim, yes, after you make a statement of you, and proclaim that I, then Buddhism say, well, so what do you mean, right? As a Buddhist practitioner, we need a question. So what do I mean by I? What do you mean by I? Mostly when we say I, we are referred to our body, but our body is not ourself, because when you go next step and take a next step to examine your body, the true the nature or the structures of the characters of your body, you will find that your body is essentially involved with two things: shape and the color, right? The shape and the color. In other words, the form. So your body is a form, of form, right? Kind of form. That form involves the color and the shape. Obviously, you're not a shape, right? As a person, you're not a shape, and you are neither as a color, right? And and then the speech. So speech, again, here's something kind of tricky, right? We heard things and make us feel good or make us feel bad. So we express verbally, right? And then to share our feelings, experiences, and so on and so forth, and through through the verbal expression. So verbal expression, essentially, when you say I think, I don't think, that I and the words, right, the sound you hear, essentially what you hear is not really the person, but you hear the sound, right? It's come from where sound is come from your mouth. Sound has been produced as a result of your tongue, right? Your tongue is hit the roof of your mouth, right, and then teeth. So the combination of the mouth and teeth and the roof of your mouth, and so that very sort of combined and the action and or the activity then made a sound, right? Something come out of your mouth and become words, and then it itself is essentially a sound. And then people, you say, I don't think so. What really people heard is I, but they didn't know that's what actually is the sound. And the sound is come from the person, individual's mouth as a result of the combined effort of mouth, tongue, lips, and teeth, and the roof of your mouth. So yeah, right there, you see the words, right, or the verbal activity. When you claim the I, is not really the I, but it's the sound. Okay, now further, when you go one more step back and deeper, you look at that where the sound come from, right? Sound itself is not come by alone. Sound is something that's being motivated or being triggered and being sort of uplifted and produced by the mind, by the motivation. So this is the production of the motivation, the motivation that is the action, a result of the mental action. So the mental action that want to express, right? So you had the thoughts, right? You want to express, and the thoughts then manifested and into statements, into words. So therefore, see, the color is not you, and the shape is not you, physically and bodily. And the verbally, again, there's no you, because what you hear is sound, is words. And words come from the deep down and triggered or being generated by your own mind. When you think all this is kind of very amazing, right? It's just kind of fascinating. How come those things are really working so well, working sort of common to be. It's a kind of form into or manifest into a particular way and make a great deal of sense, right? It's become even powerful, and that's because it's like from Buddhist point of view, that is the amazement or that is kind of what you call the magic of Buddhist idea and like interdependent origination. Interdependent origination. Because of interdependent origination, so therefore you see all those things together combined and then become so forceful and so powerful. But essentially all of them come from mind, are related to the mind. So you yourself, see, it's not a body, it's not a verbal speech, and when it goes to the mind, right? Also yourself is not a mind. Why? Because your mind is, although have these five different elements, but most importantly, you have two that's in the daily practice from your experience point of view. You will see the two things and mentally is very, very critical. Or you do make a statement or proclaim that you or you as a person and me is because, first of all, because you feel something. Your sensitivity, your senses, right? The feelings. Your feeling is number one. Because of you feel something, your feeling is become the reason, and so you say I, and so your I is triggered based upon the particular feeling. Then you make I, the statement of I or me. And secondly is the perception, right? The perception of who you are. For example, like you call me Geshe Gonga, right? And I also refer myself to I am Geshe Gonga. And if we pay no attention, it seems Geshe Gonga is there. This is nothing to do perception. It's a kind of person. It's a being. It's a particular individual there. But when you carefully examine, this is actually Geshe, so-called Geshe Gonga is a perception. Why? Because before I be confirmed, right, and being granted, bestowed. Before I've been bestowed this Geshe degree, right, I'm not a Geshe Gonga at all, right? And up until the moment, and I've been confirmed, right, bestowed in this honorary title, right, and or name as a Geshe, then I become a Geshe Gonga. And this is very clear. This Geshe Gonga is the title is being given. It's not something I, as an individual, right, is intrinsically I own it, or that's who I am. But rather, that's the production of something else. And so therefore, I have got to pay close attention, and so does everybody has to pay close attention to your own sense of who you are, right? And because if, for example, if people call me and Geshe Gonga, and so if I don't pay attention, then when upon heard somebody make a negative, very judgmental thing and mean to me, and use the name of Geshe Gonga and say negative things about me, if I fail to pay attention, that is title that's been given, right? And then I will probably hear that words in my ear is very rough and very unpleasant, right? It's not beautiful at all. But again, I will feel frustrated, or I will rejected, and that sense of right, me as a Geshe Gonga. And at the same time, if people say, oh, Geshe Gonga is wonderful and she is great and so on and so forth, again, if I pay no attention, this perception of Geshe Gonga, so-called Geshe Gonga is a perception, but not actual real person as independent entity, then I will naturally, right, and give so much power to that very statement, and I will even attach to that very statement about positive statements or comments about me. So yes, so this is applied to any all situations and to everyone. And so therefore the perception, right, your feeling is something that you always make you as a person, or you use as a source or reason to say I am. And your perception, the second thing, that's also you make the you as a person. So then of course our I is this perception and feeling, if you pay no attention, and always will make us feel, up or down, right, bad and good, is will never be able to really be free from those the frustrations and the attachment. But indeed, like go back to at the very beginning of our conversation, is that this so-called I essentially is not there. At least when you're looking in that really I, and you will find that there's no such a person who is permanently and or independently there.
Jawar ling is mobile Jawar ling is la tene lam sa lawas yam nin ni that young word that so the system song over the system song was system the trim de lila tene and bipa jongsa go some de song kip jena give yawa jongsa de ki jongsa go some ngala tene bipa jongsa go je de song kip je de ma che de songa ina de la tene giwa jongsa go je sabla tene ne
아군가. 아군가. 그만 찍고 보다. 인간이 니가 넘석 선생. 니 토지 어떻습니다. Yeah, my apology. Just give me 1 minute. I go get a pen. My pen is running out of ink.
1 M per minute.
Oh yeah, then later going to some not going to see.
What I will some rock at the Mugi to get the Ramji dripping out the Nigo Maran Zuban, your Martin, and it Mombo's child David didn't join them to Nazi trip out. It's an article the Ogo with the Jaguar. It's a Dewa Denver Shepala, that Yonsa, the Kiyonsa, the Universal Latin Jongosa, the Universal Latin. Lam lawasam la labore sewer ta lam lawasam la strum gi hawa strum gi lawate ane li gi go so chupa mashibel ma song chupa de ane maduna dipa jong gore te kor ka che ka thona te gewa jong gore ane nola te ne jin thama tsing chit ane dipa jong gore te ane tela te ni te song thwaina dewa jong gore ane zo yongsa te sem la te ni nasam no so lofta de ane Loperta was at nga chapo nga said the Ranjim Bachula Martin Baterio, somebody. Tetene and Telati Chadman King, Chapalkin, Dochalatene, and Nasiming, Matingala to Nandangala said and the Philatin, Sherdon Latin, no swimming, thinking nobody coaching with my other or something. They said that they so simple to let you are. 생각당ning 안진 지점 요와 대정가 차등 같이 보여 차등 지점 요나 델라테니 링으로서 비샤와 다르비 이 페이지니 델라테니 아니 슬로가 니시티 용 델라테니 시라코리다 랍노 스라코리 등용 그래 어떻게 그러지? 다들 말하는 소소소 딱시당 걸. 대자 다때. 대 스텝지 타바 송과 송. 아니 때 당연히 이제 셰럽지 타와제 때 오늘의 말에서 수 딱시당 거지. 딱시당에 샘나가 영상가 우리 셰럽지고 셰럽지 배줬다는데 생분나가 탁줬지네. 탁줬지 또 산나 하고서나 다때 영 삼로당네. 삼로당 몸 버려. 몸 때리지 몸 투하나 아니 소소스 뭐이 닐릭파 몬티집 투하 기초적인 거 뜻도 다 좋은가도 무일 때렸지라 어때는 좋은가도 정말 처음에 양들 찍고 때 즉시에 직내 즉시에 교대 진년지들이 봐서는 또 잠깐만 동발했다 때 마치 그런 거 년주 때 소수스는 때리지 지금 삼로동 수들 요나도 수 배주동 토에나 초랑 나오고 알았어. 냥지도 시고는 냥지도 다당이 시에 때는 또 냥지도 지정을 시기도 소소랑 일라 뒤에 딱시 땅에 배주 땅 토에나 소랑 일 요월 때 소소 나오고 토하지. 또 때려 일로 때려지.
네. So obviously we are here and try to do something not just for dogma and all that, even not just for the knowledge and or seeking God and collecting the information and learning bench concepts and words and or ideas. We're here and essentially want to do something, find something, and then that is beneficial, that's practically very helpful and useful, right? So, Buddhism offers the teaching that to fulfill our basic expectation in terms of find something practical and helpful and useful, and so like we discussed before, so your misperception of self, right? The misperception of self regarding the individuality, regarding the true status of the states or status and the nature of self, and because it's a misperception, it's misperceived, so therefore, and it is the root cause of all the sufferings. But having said that, and that permanent, independent, and absolute self is not there, but the I, or the conventional I, the I that is as the result of the designation and based upon the conventional phenomena, and that I is functioning and it serves its purpose and it's doing its own thing, and that you cannot deny. Because even though we cannot find the absolute independent Unitarian and autonomous self, right? Self that operating under its own power, but we do find the relative and I, and or I in the relative sense, and I that is conventionally and established as a result of this designation or as the label or recognition. So therefore, in our I, and from a conventional point of view, yes, it does exist, and it's functioning, and it's responsible for, and all the things that are concerning your life or related to your own state of being and your life. So therefore, in Buddhism, and so our life, our purpose of life, and is that we need to find out, right, and a particular set of discipline and or the teaching in the to transform our own and the basic state of being. Here, just we talked about earlier. So when you look at yourself, right, and you kind of find the independent self, absolute self, right? But you do find that conventional self, and that is the sense of right, yourself in general, and any particular given context or the conditions. Based upon the particular conditions and the context, you do have that I. So that I is, as I said, it was based upon the body, speech, and mind. Right? Those are the three things and the three bases. So you claim, you make the sense, and you identify yourself as an individual person. And so that's the reality. Since you need to once you realize that's the reality, and then so how to translate, you understand the status of this, your current speech and mind and the body, right? Then you know that you need to do something about it. You cannot leave it alone, but you have to take action to improve your current state of mind, speech, and body. So in order to achieve, right, this goal of perfection, right? To achieve the goal of perfection of your speech, perfection of mind, perfection of your body, right? In other words, and so you want to fully train your body, speech, mind, or transform your current speech, body, speech, mind, and into the state of great perfection. You do need to take the Buddhist discipline, a Buddhist practice of the three trainings: the trainings of morality, and trainings of meditation, and trainings of wisdom. So those three trainings essentially help you to purify your negativities at the body level and the verbal level as well as the mental level. So at the body level, and what you need to be trained and or need to be purified is that essentially our body, and through the body we can commit to three different vice or the wrongdoings. We can commit to three wrongdoings or the vice. First of all, and through the body we can commit to the crime, or you can engage in the things like actions such as killing. Right? So from Buddhist point of view, a non-violent point of view, so and we must through the training of this morality, Buddhist training of morality, to stop ourselves or prevent ourselves, and make sure we never use our body and to take any other living being's life. Okay, kill anything. So that's our first commitment that we have to, and through this training, we have to achieve. And because our understanding is this: if you committed to the killing, then your action is negative karma, which is a non-virtuous action. At the same time, if you prevent the killing, and then that is a positive karma, the virtuous karma. And then secondly, at the body level, you might commit to, if you, through the training, we can avoid sexual misconduct. Right? That's the second vice or second wrongdoing. And again, so committed to sexual misconduct is a non-virtuous action, is negative karma, and will produce negative consequences. And then thirdly, at the body level, and so through the training, we're going to prevent, through the trainings of Buddhist morality, and we're going to prevent ourselves and never take anything that is not given for free. Right? In other words, never stealing anything. Right? So those are three things, and we have to pay close attention. And because if you're not careful, then you would through the body you can commit to a crime, and or in spiritual speaking is a vice. Okay? And then at the verbal level, similarly, verbal like a door, right, like an exit. So if you not take a great care of the way you express your, right, and how you verbally and engaging with others, you could commit to 4 different types of negative karma. The first of all, you might lie, right, and not being truthful, and they make the wrong, and the consciously you make the sort of deceptive and comments or advice and to fool somebody, and in other words, they lie. And so that's the non-virtuous action. And secondly, you might commit to something what we call the divisive speech. Divisive speech, you would say something and commenting on something, particularly in terms of relations between two people, right? And you see they are good friends or good couple, right? And someone or some people together, they are doing very well, but out of jealousy or whatever reason, if you make a speech comments which is false, right? And then could create the confusions and then make those harmonized and a good relation and the loving people who love each other and have a good relation now has become and their relationship can damage their relationship. That's the divisive speech, right? So, but through the training of morality and at a verbal level, you can prevent this. And then the harsh word or the abusive speech. Harsh word, abusive speech is another vice, and you could commit it. But through the Buddhist training of morality, first training of Buddhist three training, that's morality, you can prevent it. And then lastly, through the trainings of Buddhist morality at a spiritual level, you can avoid what we call as a pointless or meaningless speech. Right? Pointless or meaningless speech, and so this will prevent you and not just keeping talking and talking even you have no idea what you're talking about, and then or you just keep talking, you have no really particular purpose, just chatting or just talking. So that's from Buddhist training of the morality point of view, and so if you do take a training and prevent this happening, and then you are accumulated positive karma, and vice versa. And if you let it go, and then you are accumulated the form of a negative karma. And then the second is yes, at the mental level. So at the mental level, we have those three and the vice. And we needed to purify through the training of Buddhist morality. And first of all is that the anger, right? Or the hatred or the aversion. And aversion is the result of aversion is is the expression of frustration and the disappointment and the rejections and denial, and so it's a very destructive and very negative. So therefore, through the trainings of Buddhist morality, and we can prevent and this negative thoughts and negative at a mental level, and so that is the anger or the aversion. And then secondly is the covetousness. Covetousness is a form of greedy. Okay, greediness. And a strong and excessive sort of attachment, and so you want to get the things and or possessing the things, and out of greed and out of the greedy, and so that is again is a negative and is a negative mentality, and the action and carried out with this particular mind, and the covetousness or the greediness is the negative karma. And through the training, again, you can purify this mind, this mentality. And the last is the wrong view. Okay, at the mental level, we call it the wrong view. Wrong view is the view that you misperceive the status of yourself, right, and as an individual person, and the status of the conventional phenomena. For example, if you consider yourself as a independent, you believe that is a eternal and permanent, and so on and so forth, and that is the wrong view. And at the same time, the wrong view is also referred to if you deny the law of a cause and effect. So those are three trainings at the body level. In other words, so you can commit to 10, right? Positively speaking, if it rely on and implementing the Buddhist trainings and of morality, you can prevent and all the 10 non-virtues. 10 non-virtues. So the 3 taking place and through the body, and 4 and taking place the verbal, and then through the verbal and expression, and then 3 and could occur mentally or as a mental activity. So. And the opposite from that is if you take the Buddhist training of morality and to purify all those 10 negativities, and then all you're doing will be at the body level will be positive, at speech level against the positive, and the mental level will be positive. So anyway, all this have to examine, okay, not just depend upon the teaching you have heard. You have to critically examine it, the validity of the comments or the speech, the teachings you have heard, and particularly rely on Buddhist the trainings of the wisdom. So the trainings of Buddhist wisdom is the way for you to critically examine and your status of yourself and the relationship between you and the world, and also the nature of all the phenomena. And again, through the trainings of moral, began by training and of Buddhist morality, and go through the process of the Buddhist trainings of meditation, and finally, and by completing the Buddhist training of wisdom, and then you can physically or you can personally, experientially experience what we have learned, or what we're talking about here now. So all those knowledges, concepts is no longer ideas, perceptions, but rather would become your real personal living experiences. So therefore, my advice, my hope is that listen carefully and critically, challenge the concepts you have heard, right? And then try to manifest, and in other words, and apply those teachings into your own circumstances and practice them daily, and so try to let all these knowledges transform and become your own living experiences. And so, yes, if we do not do this, then what? Then what happens is that we listen, right? We heard, and then we leave it alone. We put it away, and if we never use it, and then it will never really make any substantial differences. We will be the same person, but we learn a lot of ideas, concepts. So therefore, and I request and suggest, I hope that we all, try our very best and to apply whatever we have learned, and we believe it makes sense, and we feel it is important in our daily life. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. So now I would like to move on to our last session of today, that is meditation. So let's practice our meditation, and please properly organize your settings and your position, your posture, and sit properly. And the contents of today's meditation, in other words, for you, what I'm going to give you as the object of your today's meditative concentration and the meditation is that, first of all, search and try to identify what you are. Where is your eye? What is the eye? That eye is look like. So where is that eye? What does that eye look like? That's the first thing. Then try to do this analytical meditation, right? Analytically, and try to identify yourself or define yourself or find yourself and see how it looks like, or what is it look like, or what is about. And then once you reach some kind of relatively stabilized mind and stability of the mind, then go through each items and clearly identify the four non-virtuous, three non-virtuous bodily action. Okay, 3 negative actions at the body level, and clearly identify them, and then clearly identify the 4 non-virtuous action that can be executed verbally or at a verbal level, and then finally move on to identify and define the 3 the negativities at a mental level. And so go through these 2 different objects of your meditation and analytically, and make sure you where's your and see whether there's something that challenges you and troublesome. If you have while you are on this process, while you are practicing this and process this meditation, analytical meditation, you find something is trouble and questionable, and please remember the questions and then ask me at the end of the meditation, and I'll try my best to answer the questions.